everybody. Today we're going to be updating the operating system of the Roland JX-305 Groove Synth. I'm going to go over this as quickly as possible. I'm going to show you first of all how to check the current operating system that you have. So in the manual there is a way to just look at the operating system, but I couldn't get that to work. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is to go into regular test mode. How to do that? First of all, you have to plug in a MIDI cable from in to out. So this is the same cable. I can show you. This is the same cable going in and out. You have to connect that before you go into test mode. Turn the power off. You're going to want to press this envelope select button, the part select button, and the part mute button. Hold those on as you press the power button, like this. These are all pressed down. Power on, still holding. It's going to give you your splash screen. You probably saw the flashes of LEDs real quickly there. But now you see that I'm in test mode. Okay? So to progress further, you have to press enter here. So now it's going through a memory check. And it went through the MIDI check, which is the two cables, or the same cable rather, connected. Now to continue, you can press enter, but that puts you into the card test. What you want to do here to check for your current operating system is, rather than, to move on to the next test, you have to unplug one of these. But rather than do that, I'm going to hit enter again. So you'll see the current version is system 1.05, CPU 1.0, and data version is 1.0. Alright? And it'll just scroll back and forth. So when you want to move past this, you unplug one of these cables. It gave me a good test, and now it's asking for a card. And I should tell you that if you put a card in there to test the card, it's going to wipe your card. It will format anything you have on the card, so you might not want to do that. And I don't know a way to skip past this test without a card anyway. So that's the first step. That's checking the system. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Next step is you need yourself a MIDI interface device like this. This is an old one. Do you see it? It's all big and hunky, but it's cheap. Okay? Do not use a regular USB like a dongle for MIDI. They're not capable of sending the system exclusive information. They can send MIDI notes and etc., but not any kind of stable signal that will program the ROMs that are in the synthesizer itself. So what I'm doing is, this is the MIDI cable to in. Putting that to your MIDI out. And this is very important with these Roland Groove Synths, is you also have to plug in the returning MIDI signal. It tells it that it's connected, and sometimes you'll get an issue if you don't do that. So my MIDI into the controller, it's this cable, MIDI in, is going to go to my MIDI out. Alright, so I'm all ready to program the synth, but now I need to show you the software side of things. Okay, on my PC here I have a piece of software called BomeSendSX. So it's basically it sends any kind of MIDI pure data right out towards your interface. So I've got it set up. It's browsing for my Roland 1.07 update. Okay, so you have to load up one at a time. It's going to take a while. Open that up and you'll see all the pure data here on the left side. So I want to make it's hooked up to the audio interface that I have, and before I send it, now I need to go back to the Roland and get that ready. Okay, so now, similar to the way you got her into test mode, we're going to put the system into a state ready for programming. And the way you'll do that, now all of this is going to be in the service manual I'm going to link below. And this is according to the section on upgrading the memory from software. So we have it all connected up, and we're going to press this mute control button here and the number 3 hi-hat, which is that. While holding this, you tap that. So we may try it a few times. We'll see how it works. So holding, turning on, and then pressing 3. Oh wow, it worked right away. Okay, good. So it says update, it's a manual update. Yes is enter. So I'm going to say yes by pressing enter. It's checking the current flash and it tells me, okay, send the data. Alright, got the program ready. I'm gonna send that data, and you'll see what's happening down here in the bottom and what's coming in from the signal out of the JX-305. So it's receiving a bulk dump there on the right. That's receiving from the 305. Very important. You see this, I'm getting a MIDI signal in and out of my audio interface. The only thing on here that you're going to see is that beat light is solid. Now as this is still sending for this first one, there's like 16 of these files. I have to do the same process over and over. The first time I'm going to film the whole thing, so we're still doing it now, so that you can see the checksum on the display. And that's a number that basically tells you that that file has gone through, it's been in, and it's ready to go for the next one. So I'm currently sending line 160 of 293 at about 0.55 kilobytes a second. Alright, it's not super fast or anything, and that's why this process takes a while. Okay, about 50 more lines of code. Alright, coming up on the end here. Alright, complete. One block. There is your checksum. Okay. Okay, I haven't pressed anything else on the Roland. So now what I need to do is I need to clear the output. Open from your file of all the MIDI files for update and just go through. See, there are 16 of them, but you got to do them in order. And again, without pressing anything else on the Roland, I'm going to send the next file. Still have the checksum from the old from the first file. Beat light solid because it's being sent data. Alright, we're coming up to the last couple lines of code for the second file. Now updating, completing one block. Now, do you see that now that number 2 is highlighted? Beat lights off. So I have to do that several more times. 14 more times. And then on the end of the last one, I'm going to record that. We're slowly creeping along. Some of you might be wondering, hey, why couldn't I take all of those files and make them into one large file and you just send it all just at once? That's a good idea, but it didn't work for me in that there's like a pause in between each batch of files where it gives you the checksum, and I can't figure out a way, at least in this software, or I don't know, maybe somebody else can, of how to make a pause for a certain amount of time in between those blocks of code. So I think there's a Roland program that you maybe throw all these into and it'll do that, but you know, honestly, if you want it to work and you want to do it right, you got to do it the slow way. So that's my thoughts on that. If somebody wants to improve on this, feel free. But here we are, slowly chugging along, working on the 7th block of files. While I've got your attention, I'm going to show you what's actually happening here. So this is another board from another JX-305. It's messed up, it's borked. You can tell. Alright, so here's what's going on. This chip here and what was here, this is a TSOP 56 chip. So this is the same chip that's in like a USB flash drive. Do I have one of those hanging around here? No, but that's what they used to have in the older flash drives. Now this is like low memory, right? And there's 2 of them. One is like the, you know, I don't know, I think one holds patches and another holds like the operating system for the 305. But when you're doing this programming, basically what you're doing is you're programming these 2 chips. Now I should tell you that I have rescued a couple 305s that when you get them in, the screen just has several blocks on the top of the display. And what that means is that the display it's working, but it's not being initialized by the CPU, and that could be because the program that runs everything in here isn't there, but the chips are ready. So if you load up the 305 by holding the same combination to load new software, it should pop up with, hey, go ahead and send me the data. And I've been able to resurrect a few 305s. This is not how to do it. This is before I learned about, well, I guess I still made a mistake. So this is the older, or sorry, a replacement chip that I was going to put on here. But I've ripped some pads on this guy. And I feel really bad about that. But I had to move on. So I found, you know, some other parts. Oh, just completed part number 7. But that's basically what's going on. Whenever you read any posts about this synth online, they talk about reflowing the memory chip. It's this guy, and basically it's just heating up these pads and not removing the whole chip like I did. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we are winding up. The last few lines of code are going in. We're just about done. Now after this process, when I turn off and on again the JX-305, it's going to give me a message that says that the memory is corrupted. I don't want you to be discouraged. That doesn't mean that this failed. What that means is that the code that we're programming now needs to be put in the right place, I suppose, through the factory reset. So you see we're now updating, complete, got everything. Alright, so press enter, nothing. Exit, nothing. What I'm gonna do is turn it off and on again. Okay, splash screen, and like I said, caution, memory damaged. So what you need to do is you go over here to the utility button, now I'm going to keep tapping the utility button. Sorry, I'm going to turn the value until I get to factory preset. I'm going to hit enter, and I want everything, all. You can do just the patches or whatever, but yes, I am totally sure. So this takes also a little bit, but there's an indicator on the buttons on the progress of it writing everything. Still processing. It's going to do that a couple more times. It is sending out a MIDI signal now, but that's not really important. We're pretty much done with the MIDI interface right now. Still working. Complete, it says. Reboots, and we're into a pattern. So last step, verify that the update took. Turn everything off. Unplug this. I'm simply going to loop the MIDI cable again, so we can get into test mode. And what was it? So I have to press these two and envelope. I don't know if you can see that. So again, part mute, part select, envelope, power on, hold down. Okay, we're in test mode. enter, doing the memory check. If I had the audio hooked up, it would make little dings when it does that. So the MIDI test is okay. I'm going to press enter. Now we're in system version 1.07. Let me take a picture of that since I have to list it anyway. One more time, enter. CPU version is still 1.0 and the DAT version. I don't think those ever change. You should know that the process for this is similar in all of the Roland Groove boxes. So hopefully you learned something, and have a good day.